One of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. Can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Want to be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Spots is taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow
quality entertainment and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some sats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies, welcome back to the Canadian Bitcoiners podcast, the greatest podcast on earth. My name is Joey. That's Len. What's going on, buddy? It's good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. It's another day, another.
You don't have any comment about that proclamation there, the best podcast on earth? No?
It can be. Everything is subjective, right? When it comes to podcasting and ranking them, I would say we're the best. If not, fuck you, right? If you don't think we're the best, just fuck you. Listen to something else.
By the way, the comments on Anchor are often about how much we swear, and we should not be swearing that much. I don't know if that's good or bad for the algo, but I don't know.
Really?
Point, all the same. I don't know. That's what the comments say. Everybody, no one likes it. There was a time when we thought about stuff like that. We were in our infancy and really worried about it, but fan base. I hate calling it a fan base. The listener base, the community around the show is pretty strong. Anyway, so big show tonight. Maybe
it is a big show too.
Yeah,
there's part of the second half of the show. I'm introducing something very new. You don't know about it, Joey.
Okay, sure. We'll do the sponsors first. I get to a little housekeeping. Oh God, that's funny. We are sponsored by EasyDNS, the best place for you to host, register, or otherwise bring on a domain to your fleet of domains. Mark has been a friend of the show for a long time, and we're grateful to have him as a sponsor, of course. For the Bitcoiners, there's a number of things over there that you'll like. Virtual private server stuff. You know, we talk about the Nostr relays, Bitcoin nodes you can do over at EasyDNS. But I think now, Len, the security thing might actually be more important. So EasyMail and domain share over there, protecting your data, and maybe more importantly, the data of the people who trust you with their email address. So if you're writing a newsletter, running a business, a podcast like us, you can go to EasyDNS and host the website and be sure about the security of your product. CBP Media is the code. Get 50% off your first round of buys, of course. And don't forget, you can pay in Bitcoin if you want to part with some of your corn. Get the circular economy going. Mark was taking Bitcoin way before it was cool. I'll tell you that. Who's the second sponsor?
Bull Bitcoin. Look, good place to buy, good place to sell your Bitcoin, and some new features that come along with that. We'll talk about them momentarily. Your buys could be done on-chain. It could be done with Lightning. On-chain is still extremely cheap, and there's going to be a topic about that in today's show. So I would suggest if you're going to do a buy, do your buys on chain. I know it's a $200 limit. That's the minimum when doing on chain, but you know what? Save it up, buy when you have the $200 plus, and then go from there. With Bull Bitcoin, there's a couple of new features that they've rolled out. DCA, you can do that. So you could also buy at a particular bank or credit union in Alberta. So there's lots of different options you could do with Bull Bitcoin, and check them out. Best in Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, parts of Europe.
They're the best in the world. You can't use them everywhere in the world, but they're the best in the world. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. And if you haven't opened an account, use our link below to open one out if you live in any of those countries I mentioned, Canada included, if I didn't mention that. And we'll take a few dollars off your buys when you do that. So check it out. Do that. Help us out.
Housekeeping, Len. Last week, I should say, we talked to the Learning Bitcoin guys, Pablo and Zach came on to talk about the conference. We talked about a lot of stuff, actually. The kind of creeping government control we're seeing, the importance of keeping a pure heart and pure soul when you run a conference like Learning Bitcoin, and a number of other things too. That conference is coming up, obviously, in British Columbia. Use our code. I think it's just CBP. Get 20% off. We don't get anything from that, by the way. I don't want anything from that. I just want people to go to the conference. That's a good group of guys and gals, and they're doing good work over there. So I want to promote that as much as possible. This week, Joe Barbuto is coming back on the show. I think I said this last week. He sent me a message saying that he saw on YouTube or somewhere me ranting about boomers and how boomers just don't get it and don't have to get it. And he said he agrees in some respects, but wants to talk about some of the data around that. And the last time he was on, we didn't really talk about it because it wasn't in the agenda. Like, it never came up. And so this time we're going to go hard on the boomers. He's been sending me a lot of charts, a lot of data, and I think it's going to be a really good show. So I'm looking forward to that one. Also, the second episode of Around the Corn released with our friend Yukon Cornelius, you guys may know. And
is that on Fountain? Because I took a look at it not too.
Oh no, Len just dropped off. What happened there? Where'd he go? You're back. Come back, Len. Come back. Yeah.
I'm here.
You
Strange.
talked about Fountain and the intelligence community
Fountain?
took you out.
So around,
it's not. I haven't claimed it. I don't know how to claim it, but I will eventually get to that as well.
You know what's interesting, Joey? There's also some other podcast called Around the Horn on
Around
Fountain.
the Horn is an old ESPN show.
So let's go Around the Horn.
Yeah.
So
we just released our second episode of that. We recorded that last night. We were going to
There's
record
3 of them
it.
for Around the Horn.
Oh, really? Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, mine will be there at some point, and it'll be stronger than these other ones. So we did that, and the reason we had to record it Sunday instead of the usual Saturday is because I blew up my healthy ACL on Saturday playing football.
The good one, the one that was you were born with it. It was
it's OEM.
It's
OEM. I was saying to Len that the one of the benefits of being, not to toot my own horn, but to be like still fast in my late 30s is that you can play with kids who are 20 years old, 20, 21 years old. And, I was trying to make a cut on a second half play. And I thought to myself, I just said this to them before the show. I thought to myself before I made the cut, this is going to be a tough cut to make. I pumped my foot out in front of me, my right foot. It was way too far out in front of me. And so not only did I hear and feel the pop, I also saw it, which was pretty gnarly. So unlike last time I did this is before any of you guys knew me. I was probably like 23 maybe when I tore my other one. I did not just lie in bed feeling sorry for myself for 2 days. I've been walking on it and biking. And now I am basically, walking more or less fine, which is great. A little swollen, obviously, but all things considered, not bad. And even in Commie Canada, if you know the right people, you can get a doctor's appointment in 24 hours. So I have an appointment tomorrow afternoon to get the ball rolling on what'll probably wind up being a surgery.
See, after all this talk about Canada's healthcare and this and that.
Well, the Canadian healthcare is terrible. I know people and know how to advocate for myself. And so I know how to get an appointment in 24 hours if I know what's wrong with me. I can do that.
So my mother-in-law this past weekend cracked her hip.
Oh.
And so surgery is not required because based on where the crack is. And she's in a private room. Surprisingly, so she's been in there for the last 2 days, and will be there for the next day or two, I think. So
interesting.
Yeah, and she doesn't speak very much English, so she didn't advocate for herself. My wife, her daughter, was the one that's doing that. So yeah, so kudos to what's going on. Like I know a lot of people are complaining about it, but your experience recent seems rather good.
If you know what to do, if you know what to do, the common denominator there in both cases is that there's advocacy, right, for your situation. So yeah, interesting. Like, I have a good physiotherapist who's a Bitcoiner, I won't mention, who I called right after the injury happened and got some advice from about how to keep it from getting worse. And like I said, contrary to popular belief, you have to get on it, which I kind of knew from the Achilles tear, but I wanted to make sure. It's a bit of a different injury. And now, Len, it's funny. This is ACL hour on CBP. When I had my first surgery about 15 years ago, my friend had his at exactly the same time. Same injury, same everything, different doctors. My surgeon, Rick Ogilvie, guy's a legend. He retired recently, unfortunately, so it'll be someone else at the table when I'm under the knife in hopefully a few months. When I finished my surgery, I was in a cast for 2 days. And on the third day, I had to go back to the hospital to get the cast removed and, get the brace fitting and all that and start walking. I went back to playing sports with cleats on without any bracing or support in 5 months. And that's pretty good. I'm proud of that still to this day. And I still talk about that when people ask about ACL surgeries, because a lot of my friends now have torn it doing all sorts of different things over the years. My other friend was in a cast for 10 days. And never went back to playing sports. And so, I really do stand by this idea that you have to get on this stuff earlier. Now, Len, when you finish your ACL surgery, you're given the locking brace, the DonJoy kind of standard outfit that you get for an injury like this. I don't know if the brand is still DonJoy, but mine is a DonJoy from years ago. And they basically have you walk to your car. Like the number of things that have advanced in this regard in the last 10 years. When people, my dad called me a little while ago and asked how my knee was feeling. And I told him, like, it's honestly not that bad. It's swollen and it's a little sore, but I'm walking around, I'm holding my daughter. I was outside barbecuing for dinner, the things that now or can find out now about injuries, we've come such a long way. I feel so fortunate to have gone through these catastrophic injuries now, as opposed to in the 90s, because as you mentioned in the pregame here, Mickey Mantle played his whole career with a torn ACL. I didn't even know that. You told me that before the show started.
Yeah. And
like you couldn't fix
a Hall of Fame career. No,
yeah,
they couldn't.
You couldn't fix
it.
In
the 50s, they didn't have that technology to do that. And
yeah.
It took till the 80s. They finally did it work on his knee. They figured out, geez, your knee has a torn ACL.
Yeah.
And he played his whole fucking career. Like
it's nuts.
His whole career.
It's nuts. It's nuts. So I'm looking forward
500
to,
home runs as a switch hitter. Not many people.
Yeah,
could,
on one leg. On
him.
one leg.
Just
Yeah. So I don't know. I might document some stuff about that or talk to you guys about it during the Monday shows. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, in a very perverse way, the challenge of returning to athletics at my age and with my play style. I'll probably be 38 when I go back to playing. So we'll see how all that goes. But thanks for the well wishes. People have given me well wishes, and I look forward to vlogging my recovery like an annoying YouTuber. Anyway, so do you want to do some boosts? We got any boosts for the week? Can we access them? Has Oscar Mary allowed us to see the boost this time around? Any technical difficulties?
No, there's no issue. No, okay. There's three worthwhile to mention. Wartime 333 sats, and he writes in, "Love you guys," with an emoji of 2 beer mugs doing a cheers. So love you too, Wartime. Thank you.
How do you do the heart? Can you do the heart well?
I think
that's pretty good.
Is that it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not that very good.
This looks like a Mario 2 onion more than a heart, I think. But anyway,
that's a shitty game, Mario 2, by the way.
It's the worst one of the.
He's this Doki Doki Panic. It's not fucking Mario 2.
That's right. I forgot. It's a port or clone, right? Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Apparently, we're just not worthy enough to get the real Mario 2, which is too hard for the Western audience. Fuck you, Nintendo. Dallas Smith, 1,000 sats. He says, riding the line of noticing. Laugh out loud. There you go. And last but not least, we have Doug, 1021 sats. And he says, the year 2021 was all about girlfriends and Lambos on BlockFi loans. This time around, we have wives, maybe a kid. Well, Joey anyway. So time to pimp the teeth. Great discussion. Would love to be better at educating Bitcoin. If only educating wasn't my actual profession, I'd have an excuse. Unfortunately, your curriculum doesn't allow you to do that. So
he's making reference to my Invisalign retainers that I have in right now. So I got those last week too. So it's nice to not have to. I didn't like really playing with them in on Saturday, and now I won't have to worry about that because I probably won't play for 8 months by the time I have the surgery. 8 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll be busy. I got enough going on. I don't need anything else for now. I think I'm good. Good. Yeah. Anyway,
that's it for the boosts.
Let's get started then. Where do you want to start? We got a couple bangers here. Do you want to talk about Bukele the fraud? Do you want to talk about? We start anywhere. You decide.
Bukele. We could talk about Bukele the fraud. Like, are they still buying Bitcoin? You hear the stories they are.
No,
you hear the stories they're disqualified from doing it.
Yes.
They're showing this address. Is it Bitcoin being shuffled around? I don't know what the fuck.
He's fucking around with his cold card and Sparrow, and then telling people he's buying another million, another billion. Predator had this, by the way, 2 years ago.
The ship has sailed with respect to Bitcoin and
Agreed.
El Salvador. Looks like,
Agreed.
But in terms of other things, like I'm just looking at, from what I understand, I could be wrong, like crime, murders, things have improved over there. And so it's a much better place to live now than it was, say, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. But I feel bad for the people, the Bitcoiners that invested hard-earned money to buy property or obtain residency or citizenship or what the fuck it was, because they were allowing something like that. And with the idea / the promise of this being a Bitcoin paradise. And unfortunately, the rug was pulled from that idea. And the people that paid up, it's gone. You can't undo that. You can't go to the Bitcoin CEO and have this charge reversed. It's done. And so I have nothing really to add about this. I mean, there's nothing really I could add. Everybody has their opinion, and all the more power to you. But that's mine. Ship has sailed. It's done.
Okay, let me ask you this: has the ship sailed on Bukele for you?
No, I look at in terms of how life has improved in El Salvador. I have no skin in the game because I don't live there. I'm not Salvadorian. I have no family there. I have nothing. So for people that do live there, I'm sure they're saying, things are much better now than it is there. And I think a lot has to do with Bukele's policies and how he implemented them. So with respect to that, life is probably better for people living there. So the ship, I don't think, has sailed on him as a politician. As a Bitcoiner, yes. As a politician, probably not.
All right. I think it's sailed on him personally, like reputation-wise. Jaime Garcia, who's been on the show a handful of times, and I think who's actually also either recovering from an ACL tear or an Achilles tear.
Oh.
Yeah. Turn me on to something on the show. It was either on the show or after the show, but I'll share it here now regardless. In his previous career, Bukele was a PR guy. He's a narrative crafter, okay? And so when you think about the stuff you've seen from him in those terms, when you look at it through that lens, what do you think about? You think about all kinds of spectacle from him over the years, whether it's 2-kilometer long human centipedes of tattooed gangsters in El Salvadorian jails, or it's Bitcoin City renderings with tons of glowing lights, YouTube thumbnail style, or it's the volcano bonds that never materialized, or it's visits to the White House, visits to Miami for the Bitcoin conference, you name it. If you just consider that his profession in the past was PR guy and narrative guy, everything makes a little more sense. We, I think, should pat ourselves in the back here a little bit, and that's why my tag is taking a victory lap. I use this on Around the Corn too, this tag, because I think you and me have been correctly assessing the relationship and specifically the change in the relationship between the IMF and El Salvador over the last 8 months. It started around...
I was still skeptical about anything that's going on. I just don't know.
I think both of us expressed, I'll speak for myself, but I think you did too, expressed, let's say, concern around the narrative that, slop coin channels were pumping when it was announced that the IMF was going to give El Salvador a loan, and El Salvador had quote unquote new Bitcoin buys after receiving the loan. Like, they're using El Salvador, or they're using the IMF's money to add to the El Salvador coffers. I think we expressed some skepticism about that, and I think we were right. And there's a lot of channels, including, Simply, including many others who I won't mention because I don't even think they deserve the press. But it's obvious, I think, that this relationship has been undergoing a shift because there's clearly something happening in El Salvador apart from Bitcoin that makes a lot of sense and the IMF doesn't like. I'll just add one more thing here. The demand for Salvadorian bonds went up significantly about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. Could have been actually longer. I'm not 100% sure exactly when that jump was, but I think we talked about it on the show. And I think we talked about it with friend of the show, SB, when he was on last. It seems like an eternity ago. But at that time, the thinking was, well, the popularity of these bonds is increasing and the demand is increasing because as a Bitcoin native country, this is going to be a more favorable outcome for debt holders who want to buy that, medium or long-term note. In reality, now, what was probably actually happening is insiders understood that they were going to be getting back in bed with the IMF, and that's when the demand for those bonds started to go up. So now they have a bunch of debt that's coming due, and they don't have the money to pay it, and so they need the IMF to help them out. At the end of the day, I look at this story, and I don't believe anybody who's making statements about it. I don't believe the IMF in their entirety when they say that they've basically neutered the Bitcoin program. I don't believe El Salvador when they, rearrange coins and consolidate UTXOs and don't put a stop to the commentary online that Bukele definitely sees about new Bitcoin buys, I don't believe anyone. And I think that not believing anyone is reason enough to write these guys off as a country. I think people who moved there got played. I think people who simped hard for El Salvador got absolutely wrecked over this. Chivo failed. Bitcoin Beach failed. You can say whatever you want about, oh, there's people accepting Bitcoin in El Zante. Like, who cares, man? Okay, you were sold a false bill of goods here. You can either admit it or not admit it, but everyone impartially observing this from the outside can see what happened here. And while it is unfortunate, it doesn't make it any less true. And I want people to move on from this country and this president ASAP. Let's find some better places to spend our time and energy.
There is nowhere else right now with respect to a Bitcoin
Yeah.
country. That was the only one. It's too bad. And now we have to start from square one again. There's nothing. So we have to build anew. What's next? Let's see. Central African Republic. Is that what they're going to do?
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my God. Yeah.
What
about Akon's cryptocurrency city or whatever? That fell through too.
Don't even remember that one.
Yeah, exactly.
That
was like 2 or 3 years ago. It was a long time. Costa Rica. Yeah, Benny in the chat saying Costa Rica maybe is another one. If anyone can do it, it's Francis. I don't know exactly how much damage he's done over there. Bitcoin Jungle, yeah, is the name of the region.
There are like little areas throughout the world that have this.
Yeah, and like I just want to also note, Glenn, that like I happen to believe that you don't need a top-down force feeding of Bitcoin. Everyone's going to get this at some point. A lot of people are getting it now, overseas and otherwise. And I also think that one of the reasons, by the way, that the IMF cracked down on El Salvador is because there's going to be a really hard push. I know this is going to pour some cold water on you guys in the chat, naming these other places. There's going to be a really hard push from America-centric NGOs and international organizations to push US dollar stablecoins.
Well, that's the Genius Act.
Yeah, exactly. And like
they're pushing that as
there's
right?
just
they're trying to create some regulatory framework. They're trying to put. Hey, I this whole thing, I have really nothing really to say about it. It is right. Like, what sort of commentary could you add to this?
It's like an I told you so. It feels like about El Salvador. I'll say that. It's like you don't jump the gun all the time. Like, don't just imagine that everything is Gucci, everything's great, it's hard to do this stuff. It's hard. Ask your friends are living in a country, if you're Canadian or American, or even if you're Euro poor, your friends are living a life where they have some more excess savings than people in El Salvador. They still don't get it. They still don't want to save in Bitcoin. They see that things are going downhill with their own currency, and they can't wrap their head around it. In a place like El Salvador, it's not top of mind, So I just, it's like, and I told you so, I think, in a lot of ways, and maybe I'm dancing on the grave of this guy in this country a little bit, and the simps online and the Bitcoin slop channel universe. But I really think this was a long time coming, and people who couldn't see it just didn't want to, more than anything.
Bitcoin is, for the foreseeable future, is going to be a store of value.
Yeah.
That's it. As a medium of exchange, I'd like to see it be used. And even with that, like, Trump was talking about, or somebody from the White House, was the press secretary, whatever the fuck it was saying that they're considering putting a threshold in of $600 before capital gains is going to be applicable. And I like that type of mood, because then you're now pushing the narrative of Bitcoin being as a medium of exchange. And we have to start doing it. Is unfortunately right now, the requirements in Canada and the US are challenging enough, because you have to calculate how much you bought it for, how much you sold it for, then report that to the tax authorities and pay your capital gains.
Don't forget too, Len, like you're always on this, and I think a lot of people don't realize that it's not just a shtick. But even if you send Bitcoin from a wallet you control to another wallet, like that's if there's a tax law, it's going to be on you to prove that you didn't, quote unquote, spend the Bitcoin.
Yes.
Like,
it's the conversion of Bitcoin to something not named Bitcoin. That's when it's a taxable event.
Yeah.
As long as you're, if you control both addresses and you're moving it from one address to another, and you could prove that you have control of both addresses, it's very simple to do. So they wouldn't be able to nail you to the cross for not paying your taxes there. But this is a move. I hope they go ahead with this. I hope they go ahead. $600 doesn't seem like a lot, and every day
No.
that $600 gets eroded due to inflation. But it's a starting point, right? It really is a starting point, because if United States hypothetically says, we're going to allow Bitcoin transactions up to $600 without any capital gains requirement, what's stopping then Canada doing the same? Europe, I guess, once the scarf is gone, but once she's gone, they could probably start doing the same. Like, there's other countries. If United States starts doing it, others will probably follow suit. Furthermore, and I've said this before, I don't know how much validity there is to this, but maybe it's some. There's capital that's locked in Bitcoin because nobody's wanting to spend it. I know the number is going up and nobody wants to spend it for that regard, but there's some people that do want to spend it, but they just don't want, they don't want to deal with the bullshit that goes along with capital gains. And that's taxation, very small at that, but it's lost. It's never going to be captured until you allow people to use it as a medium of exchange.
Yeah.
And once that's done, then you can start capturing small tax dollars, but maybe over time that will grow, and it could be to the net benefit of the country that allows it.
Yeah.
I love to see this news. Bitcoin is a medium of exchange, and we have to start, or people have to allow us to do it without the bullshit that's required with capital gain requirements and reporting. I understand it's the law, but it's still, we could ask for this to be changed and just allow us to do it, because a lot of people have KYC Bitcoin. And that stuff, if they really want to check it out, if you start spending it, it goes to a wallet that's known, to whatever. And then, you spent it, you didn't claim any taxes. Now let's do an audit of your previous years. And then you don't want to go through this process. It's just not worth it.
No, I totally agree. The only thing I think about when I hear like $600 de minimis tax exemption is, are we accepting too low a number and celebrating this kind of low hanging fruit? I mean, not, we're Canadian. We don't even have that exemption, but the Americans, it's like could you do better than that? It's funny to me that we just went from, as a community, celebrating the president of the United States at the Bitcoin conference. Like, talk about that's a dub. Okay. Like, having the president forced to come to the Bitcoin conference to campaign, basically. I mean, he probably was paid, but let's face it. Okay. A lot of people are willing to pay that guy for an appearance, and he still chose that setting. Going from that to $600 de minimis seems like a steep decline. It's a steep drop off in my view.
Well, what about him selling Trump or Melania coin? Is that a steep drop off? Or
yeah,
is that
of course. No, it's all bad.
Off?
It's all bad.
Right.
But in terms of,
it's not like it just started all of a sudden. This has been a fucking we declined a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay. But in terms of policy, I'm saying, like, you went from Bitcoin strategic reserve to $600 de minimis, and I see Nate in the chat. Like, I just think that's wrong. Like, I don't think any amount is a win. I think any amount is a starting point, and which direction all these starting points go over time. And like, the idea that you're going to give this up as a dub, I just don't think it's right. Yeah, weed legalization is an interesting comparison. I don't think it's a good one, but we can talk about it. Weed legalization meant, when it first was announced, that everyone could smoke pot. Now, what it means is, you can only buy government weed, and anyone who tries to open any competing weed store gets shut down, fined, and sent to jail. Like, these are significant losses, I think. And it's not unenforceable. Nothing is unenforceable. We've talked about this before. The chilling effect is all it takes. It might be hard to get everybody who wants to do $601 transactions, but if you get one person who's famous enough that does $601 transactions, it will act to stop the majority of the transactions above that number for everyone else. This is a common tactic. Happens like this all the time. And like I've said on this show before, calling things unenforceable, calling things wins, blah, 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 fine. But, we've done so much as a community in the last 10 years. Why should we give up at 600? Why should we give up at, this de minimis tax exemption thing?
It's not the final point.
No, but I don't think it's a reasonable point of discussion to say that we're going to start at 600 and it's going to move to 1,000. Like that
why
is
not?
Come on. Are we really going to debate this? Like, come on.
Why wouldn't? Well, and I think you could acknowledge that there's now more lobbyists within this quote unquote crypto space than there
Yeah.
were, say, 5 years ago. And the number of lobbyists that are in it are going to probably increase over time due to the amount of now treasury companies and shit like that are involved. So they're now going to get the ear of these politicians way more than they did in the past. And they potentially might be able to push a narrative that has never been pushed before. Not to say that it's going to stay at 600. It will go to like, I think that if it started at 600, it's the one thing that I think was really going to be bad here is if there's going to be the Democrats winning next election, because they're going to look at this and say, this is tied to Trump.
For sure.
So something that's tied to Trump, we want to undo it. And I could see if Trump enables it, the Democrats remove it altogether to zero, to where it is today. That's my fear.
Yeah, I don't know.
And but in the grand scheme,
I can't address everything I see in the chat here, but I'll tell you that I still disagree. And Nate, to your point, it's all love. I just, we these are good things. Maybe the thing we can agree on is that these are good things. These are good problems to have, overall.
It's a step in the right direction rather than a step in the wrong direction. And there's a lot of steps that are happening in the wrong direction. Let's be honest. And I guess let's talk about another one that's very popular this past week. And it was Cantor Fitzgerald and Adam Back forming a strategic partnership.
Oh, God.
I could not believe that these two, not that I would ever even consider, like, Cantor Fitzgerald never really crosses my mind, and Adam Back slightly more than Cantor Fitzgerald, but not very much in my life. But these two entities, I've never imagined that they would come together. And what are they doing? Like, Adam Back with this move, Fiat Maxi, maybe. I mean, how can one say it's not after this? They're teaming up to create a Bitcoin treasury company, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be named the Bitcoin Standard Treasury Company, BSTR, and it's going to be publicly traded. And publicly traded is a great way to say they could dump on retail, and it's going to be done through a SPAC of all things.
Oh, God.
Cantor Equity Partners One. That's the company that they're going to be doing the SPAC with. It's one of those shell companies that exist simply for this type of fiat bullshit. They're going to take advantage of that. And at the onset, this is the very interesting part. 30,000 Bitcoin they plan to have at the onset when this starts. And reports are saying Adam Back is going to provide 25,000 of his own. 25,000. What the fuck? And they plan to raise $1.5 billion through a private placement in public equity for a rationale or reason to buy more Bitcoin. Yeah. So, Bitcoin treasury company seems to be vogue these days. If you want to park your money in it, by all means, go ahead. I wouldn't recommend it, but again, it's one size. The glove doesn't fit all sizes. My glove, I only buy on chain and fuck everything else. But I see this. I don't know. I mean, people are gushing over this because they're seeing two big names coming together. I don't give a fuck. I honestly do not give a fuck about this.
Isn't the question to ask here, why is Cantor, a month after starting a similar company with Mallers, starting now a SPAC with Adam Back? Why?
That's a really good question.
What am I missing there? Like they're doing this twice, so they're I guess
cornering
the
the
SPAC
market.
has, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no 25,000 Bitcoin probably does a lot. I don't think Mallers is putting up that.
No.
Right? So if he did that, I don't think they'd go ahead with this, or maybe they would. I don't fucking know. They had this shell company sitting there. They had to do something with this.
But what is the point? Like, how many? The Bitcoin treasury company thing is interesting to me. It has been since it started with Saylor. It still is now. And I don't know I still don't really understand exactly what the value prop is here. It's fine, I guess, to have a company that wants to buy Bitcoin. I'm not sure that that's enough for a company's stock to rise.
But they do. And I'm not justifying
it. They do for now.
I don't know why. But as soon as they fucking announce it, there's an instant pump, and still it happens. Yeah. Like, what the?
This is the same as the miners back in the day. Do you remember in like 2022, there'd be an announcement of a roadmap of a, power purchase agreement, MOU, and a miner would say, we're going to deploy another, terahash or whatever of juice, and the stock would pump. Like, okay, that's good, I guess. Then you had Saylor say that he's going to buy Bitcoin with his balance sheet, and then he started to really go hard and issue debt to buy it. Now he's issuing prefs. I just got a message from someone I know talking about the prefs from the last little while. The ATM is being utilized like 99% plus, and the prefs are doing nothing now. So that whole narrative about the preferred shares being the meta is done. Like, even the companies that are doing this can't seem to do it well enough with one vehicle to keep running. Then you have, of course, like the Meta Planets. Say what you want about Semler, they sell medical equipment. Meta Planet was like a failing Japanese hotel chain, I think. And now they're, the most traded stock on the Japanese market. That I think you can even buy it here in some of the big five investing whatever envelopes. TD, RBC probably all have it. I can't get it on Wealthsimple, not that I would. And so you got to ask yourself, like, number one, when does this stop? Number two, when does the money that's in these companies start to pull to buy Bitcoin? And then I think if you're a bull, the question is, if these guys start pulling money to buy Bitcoin out of the equities, does it just drive the equity prices higher anyways? Like there's got to be some limit to this. I'm not sure what it is. It's like the fourth dimension, right? Like I can't perceive it. I can kind of feel the general, I can explain the general theory around it, but I can't really pin down when or how this is going to end. But it does seem like it's going to end, doesn't it? It's just, there's too much. Like, my instincts tell me this is too much. It's too heavy. It can't keep going on.
I guess.
Do your instincts tell you that? I mean, apart from the fact that you wouldn't buy any of this stuff anyway, doesn't this tickle your top instinct a little bit?
Yes, and the reason why is you got to go at the very, very root of it, and the ones that are the players behind this, the UTXO management, the people with the
Len never misses a chance to take a shot at David Bailey. He never misses a chance.
So, well, why would I in this one? If your spidey senses are tingling,
they're tingling for sure. They are tingling. Yeah.
I
don't think David Bailey is like, the guy he's talking about. There's a couple other guys I would put higher on the list. I don't know.
Why not?
I'm not saying I agree with UTXO management strategy. I'm just saying there's other people on this list of like culprits that I think I would put above. I know I would put above him.
But they are directly behind Metaplanet, for instance.
Yeah.
That's for one and you talked about it. So in terms of one that is very popular.
Keep talking. I'm going to pull up Bitcoin treasuries.
Sure. So that's why. So if you're going to talk about Metaplanet, you can't not talk about the people that are behind it, the UTXO management. So they're the ones, again, they're pointing at you. You're the exit liquidity, and they're going to laugh at you in the end when they sold you everything and you're just holding heavy bags and they have a lot of money in the bank account. Hopefully they could do something with that. Well, actually, I don't give a fuck if they could do anything with that, to be honest. Just other things too that are just, it rubs me the wrong way. It's very fiat-esque, is like the sats per share, for instance. The Saylor talks about the Bitcoin yield. Bitcoin torque, I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Yeah, no one
There's these terms that are being thrown out there that are just made up. If you just boil it down, it's how much fucking sats you have in a wallet. That is it. That's really all. The other thing is just fucking bullshit, made up fiat crap. That's all I care about, is how much fucking Bitcoin I have and I control. The rest, fuck off. I don't give a shit. So this is the Bitcoin treasuries.
Is this MBK's website? I have to sign in to see this? What is this?
I'm waiting for the day.
Is he this? Is that him?
He's or either he's behind it or the company that he runs is behind it. Either one. But I'm waiting for the day when the total amount of Bitcoin that's listed here is greater than 21 million.
I know.
And I'll fucking laugh. When it comes out, oh, what the fuck? We did our math wrong. Now it's coming out to 22 or 23 or 25 million Bitcoin that is owned by these treasury companies. Get the fuck out of here. Without any proof of reserves, without controlling your own keys, it's just, you don't fucking know. And even if they did, you're giving them, or not giving them, you're giving the bank money to buy, and then it ultimately goes to the brokerage to buy into this stuff. It's fucking bullshit. You never know if you're going to be able to get it out. But you know what? Everybody do whatever the fuck you want. I honestly don't give a fuck. I've spoken my piece many times, and if people get wrecked doing this, great. I'm gonna just sit there with a cigarette, laughing at the side of the road. Would you look at that? I'm gonna be happy. Nothing changes for me.
Yeah, I don't know where I come down on all this stuff. It's funny, Nate in the chat saying it's like the ICO scams. I think that's pretty close to true. Boomer talking about top signals and BTC dominance. I don't know, man. I'm not saying this is a top. I mean, you'd be foolish to make that bet in this environment with rate cuts on the horizon. The Federal Reserve Chairman under criminal investigation for a renovation at the Fed. I know.
This is truly clown world stuff.
It's great.
And you know what?
Got what I voted for. A medal, pin it on him. That meme is so good.
The sad thing is, if you had to turn back the clock and you had the ability, like say you were a U.S. citizen and you could vote,
yeah,
who are you voting for? You're probably voting for the same guy that was just is there right now. Like there was no.
You can't vote for Kamala Harris.
I don't think so, right?
No, you can't. No one's gonna. There's no chance.
And that's even with using 2020 vision. You still vote for him.
Yeah.
Never mind the time you voted for him, or you would have voted for him. It's just so like there really was no choice, and still he's pathetic. But the other one is just more pathetic. They're all pathetic. And you're talking about Bukele being a PR guy. Fucking Trump is a PR guy altogether.
Oh, big time,
right? Like,
expert, social media expert for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He's my favorite president now though, because he wants the commies to go back to Redskins as the name. So.
And he was talking about the Cleveland Indians.
I'm all in.
Every time I watch the
Mega Make Indians
Great
Again. Did you see that on True Social?
Yeah. I watched Major League the movie. I love that movie, by the way. And it just I see it. I see Chief Wahoo as the fucking symbol. Like, it's a great movie, and they talk when a home run goes, it goes into the reservation. Like, it's just there's things that are just like it's Cleveland
Classics,
Indians, man.
Classics.
I laugh at that stuff.
Never forget. There's a song in I think it's in Pocahontas. What makes the red man red, or something like that. If you have the old Pocahontas VHS tape, it's on there. There's probably tons of other like.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even I'm not a big like cultural insensitivity guy, but that might be a bridge too far. There's also, dozens of other references over the years in like Disney movies to Indians and natives and like just general savagery. Probably not all, probably not all acceptable by any stretch, but it's funny to see Trump try to go down this road, with all the other stuff going on. This is the thing he wants to do. I don't know. Like, someone's got to get a hold of that guy, rein him in. He's got a lot of energy, I know, but
he's got, in terms of longevity, he's got this term and nothing else.
Yeah.
So he's going to do what he wants to appease
anything to distract from the list. John says in the chat.
Yeah,
maybe.
Where is it? Who the fuck knows? And another distraction that came out this week was that the Bitcoin on the U.S. balance sheet.
Yeah,
they were saying that there's 29,000 Bitcoin that they have, and people were like, they're drooling. Did the U.S. start selling their Bitcoin? They should have had 200,000 Bitcoin. Look at the prices, 117, 118. Like, the reality is, Department of Justice still has like hundreds of thousands, a couple 100,000 Bitcoin. Like, the U.S. hasn't done anything in terms of reducing their holdings.
I mean, I know what happened to that Bitcoin. They used it to juice the Kamala Harris poly market odds during the Biden admin and lost it on.
It's all gone
on the betting markets. Yeah, pretty sure that's what happened.
I know if they come out and say that, I would have a lot of respect, because then truly everybody's the degen, including the fucking the government. But yeah, in terms of the United States government, they still hold around 200,000 Bitcoin. They haven't sold. I don't think they lost it. And considering like that number, it's about a third of MicroStrategy. If United States has that much, it's still MicroStrategy holds a fucking ton of Bitcoin. But anyways, what US has is far more than a 29,000 that's being reported. Just my 2 cents.
How do you figure that?
They haven't sold
the wallets are public, right? Like the Lola Leets tweet to, by the way, David Bailey, who paid for the information. Shout out to Dave. That's a lot of Bitcoin. And it's suddenly not there. So assuming that the data and the collection methodology was correct by elites, what's the rationale to think that they have more than they're letting on?
Other people that do chain analysis, they believe that the Department of Justice hasn't moved anything and it's just still there. So that 200,000 is still sitting there.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, something to keep an eye on. Ultimately, do you care about this though? Like, does anyone really care?
Well, look, United States has Bitcoin on the balance sheet.
Yeah.
They gained it through confiscation. They didn't mine it. They didn't buy it. It was simply through confiscation. Why did they have to sell it? I kind of do care. Personally, I prefer they keep it.
Yeah. Okay.
There's selling it. They have a money printer, right? If they have essentially an infinite amount of money that they have available to them, what's the rationale of selling the Bitcoin they have now for, I don't know how many billion that's going to be. Is that really going to turn the tide in terms of that $37 trillion debt that's racking? Like nothing. It's right. It's not even going to make a fucking dent in that. We make fun of Germany. Germany sold in the $50,000 to $60,000 range, about 50,000 Bitcoin they sold. People make fun of that. And that was just last year they sold it, right? If they held on to that, the unrealized profits would be 100% of what they sold it at. And they could have used that to do whatever they had borrowed against, or you just simply hold on to it. Like, why? What's the rationale for selling it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I understand that if they mined it, if they used something like they focused their own energy to mine it, or they bought it somehow, I can understand selling it like at a higher clip later on. But if you confiscated it, it's almost, I'd say it's virtually free. It's aside from the cost for the manpower or people power, let's go with that, to confiscate it. Really, what was the cost? It's nil. Fucking hold on to it.
Yeah,
UK is another one.
Yeah, Pablo saying UK is likely to sell soon too.
Yeah,
I believe that all these governments have sort of a weird incentive matrix around holding Bitcoin or selling it. I realize that they got it through seizure or forfeiture, but at the end of the day, if they're holding something that's not gold and not their currency or a foreign debt note, the question then becomes like, why are you holding it? You don't hold anything else, so why are you holding this? And it's a tell a little bit, right? Like this thing is going up in value. We think it's going to appreciate faster than X, Y, or Z. We're not trading it for X, Y, or Z. We're keeping, option A here. I think they almost have to sell, or at least have the facade of selling.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can say, we'll sell it in the future. You just never do it.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, we'll take care of it. It never fucking gets done.
It's funny on the Chainalysis website. Like I'm just kind of looking around here for more discussion on this. The Chainalysis website talks about this a little bit, but there's not a clear kind of indication of whether or not they actually have it pinned down. How much the government has or doesn't have. So
the last I checked, around 200,000.
Isn't the other thing too that's worth noting that this probably would have been a lot easier to find out 3 years ago. And now that Bitcoin is even more mainstream, and there's probably people that are working for the White House that are experts in like UTXO security and whatnot, that this is going to become harder and harder to pin down over time. Like you may never get a clearer picture than the one you have today of what the US government holds. Because by the way, as soon as they start telling you exactly what they hold, that's when you know that they're not giving you the full picture. As soon as they start making announcements about their holdings, that's when you know their holdings are either more or less than what they're letting on.
I hope
like everything else.
I hope it is what it is. Like it is like they have 200,000 and they just haven't sold. I would love to hear that. And because Germany, we made fun of them, and they deserve to be made fun of for selling. UK, they plan to sell 57,000 Bitcoin in not too distant future. Do you know the reason why they want to start selling? The UK wants to sell this?
No.
They desperately need the revenue to balance, or to not balance, to at least close the gap from the fucking debt that they have.
Is that the reason they're giving? They're giving that reason?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. 5 billion
That's
pounds.
tough, man. That's really
They're
tough.
going to be getting 5 billion pounds from this sale if they go today. And that, if you look at it too, because you have these 4-year election cycles, the long-term planning just really isn't there. You're not thinking about a legacy for 20, 30, 50, 100 years like China is doing in certain cases. You're just looking about this election, maybe the next one. So selling Bitcoin now to try, just like the PCs did in Ontario when they sold, or at least the 407 for 99 years, right? Like that kind of thinking works great in the short run. That this, for today, but tomorrow, oh fuck, we screwed up. Who cares? By then you got reelected. You're happy. That's all it is these 4-year election cycles that is driving these policies and these decisions
Totally.
to sell this Bitcoin. They could hold on to this. And again, this is Bitcoin that they confiscated. The UK confiscated this Bitcoin. It's not like they used a existing power plant to mine Bitcoin. They bought the ASICs, and that energy could have been potentially sold to the grid to users. And so this is something that's just confiscated somehow. So again, the cost of doing this is minimal. And so they haven't now. They've been given this gift, and they're just going to liquidate it for the purpose of what? Because they can't balance the budget, or they have a difficulty of at least managing the budget. And you think once this is gone tomorrow, what are they going to sell next? A bridge? Like they're going to have nothing left at a certain point. And it's like, not that the UK is going and trending in the right direction. It's certainly trending in the wrong direction. But this is another reason why it's trending in the wrong direction. Guys, fucking don't sell it. And gals.
Yeah, but also don't expect governments to do the same. They're not thinking for the long term, like Len says. Or do you want to do one more story and then go over to notables? Do you want to go notables now?
No, we'll do one more notables after. Well, I just want to talk quickly about the mempool. It's still, at least as of yesterday,
empty. Like someone's shitting it, and they have to shock the pool now. It's empty.
And so people, okay, what am I talking about? It's just the amount of Bitcoin transactions in the queue waiting to be processed. There's very little. We've had periods of time where it spikes and goes down, but it's been like this for quite some time where there hasn't been much. And because there's not very much, fees are low, right? Because you're not competing against anybody. So you're talking 1 sat for BByte is very common for some transactions, especially if you're willing to wait an hour or so. They'll go through. But now people are talking about, let's reduce it even further. Let's go to 0.1 sats per VByte. And it's a gimmick. I like it. I mean, but it's really, Blue Wallet is saying that they're going to be doing this in the next release. They'll be offering up this feature for people. Like, great. But I mean, fuck, it's cheap as it is. Like, you cheap asses, man. Like, it's good to have options, but man, like, what the fuck? I shake my head when I see this kind of stuff. But it's good to see the options there.
ETF effect, I think, right? Where's all the
sure?
Yeah,
for sure. It's for people that wanted to buy Bitcoin, had exposure somehow. They're getting it through an ETF or through MicroStrategy or whatever, and so that's taking a lot of pressure off on-chain transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So for the, I guess for that we could say it's a good thing. But that's the only good thing I think I'm going to say this.
Yeah, I still think you want the mempool to have some traffic, but
eventually it's going to raise.
Yeah, I don't know what the sweet spot is for like the sats per VByte that I'd be looking for, but it should cost something to transact on the network. And I think it's a sign of, see, this is the weird thing, right? When you look at stories about top signals, oftentimes at the top, I think you see more network traffic because people are moving Bitcoin and selling, right? And now, you've had a bit of a peel back here from, what were we at? 122, 123, something like that. And now it's 115, 16, 17 there behind you. So you had a bit of a peel back, and the mempool never filled up. It's weird. It's weird. It's another thing that I think, if you look at Glassnode or these other data, predictive data suites of information, the things you used to look at to analyze whether or not Bitcoin was sitting atop, or the mempool was going to fill up, or MVRV was going to hit a certain ratio or threshold. Like, these things are changing now because of ETFs. They're changing now because of Bitcoin treasury companies. They're changing now because of these new variables, new moving parts in the ecosystem. And so the equation is not quite as simple to balance with all these other things happening. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to the predictive data stuff in Bitcoin, because it was a big part of the system for a long time. Stuff like the Rainbow Pitchfork, everyone's talked about that. Does the Rainbow Pitchfork still hold up in an ETF / Lightning / whatever world? I don't know. I'm not sure. We're going to find out. John, so just John, if if you go back to 2017, I remember I was trying to get my brother into Bitcoin. John is saying that it's only since like February 2025, it's the death of ordinals that's, causing this. If you go back to 2017, it was like $40 a transaction to send a transaction. And so like there are times when it was very expensive and, ostensibly the traffic was actually a lot less.
But SegWit, was that available in 2017?
It's late 2017. So I think maybe SegWit came on. Yeah, SegWit was available then. I think it came on before then. So, maybe they didn't have the addresses all linked up at that point, or, if you're using a non-SegWit address, but this has been, this has been interesting, right? So the ordinals thing is not to be discounted. I don't want to sound like that's what I'm saying, but there's been ups and downs in this mempool cost for a long time, the transaction cost for a long time. So we'll see what happens here in the next little while. If we get a run up to 150, would you expect to see, I shouldn't say if, when we eventually get a run up to 150, would you expect the sats per VByte to significantly rise with that price? I'm not sure that I would.
I don't know if there's a correlation between the two.
I don't know either, but historically there was, and now there doesn't seem to be. So
I think
John's got some. If you're listening, you should. The chat's got some good commentary here. I can't respond to everything, but there is some good discussion about what exactly is causing this and the ups and downs over the last 8-9 years. So
it's more rationale for people to consolidate their UTXOs.
Pablo just said the same thing in that chat. Consolidate.
1 million is the number I hear is a minimum, but you can do something that's higher, like 5-10 million or whatever. Do even 100 million, right? Right? Just keep taking a bunch of 100 million. So I don't know, whatever fucking works for you. Just enjoy.
Man. Whatever. Let's go some notables here. So if you're on audio, come back tomorrow. If you're on video live with us, then hang in. We're gonna jump over to some notable stories, and Len claims to be introducing a new segment. I'm not sure, but it sounds like it's gonna be good. So hang in, and we'll see you over there.
Don't be a cock.